Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSeco. Today, we will discuss only one article, which is from the Indian Express. The title of this article is IP, which is Intellectual Property Waiver for COVID Vaccines. So, this article talks about the proposal for taking away or not putting up any kind of intellectual property banners on rights on the COVID vaccines to make sure that this COVID vaccine is available even in the low income countries. So we will discuss about this article in further detail in today's article. And then we have the news and flash column. So this analysis is being presented by me. My name is Sheva Khan and I am a law graduate and had completed my BA LLB law degree from Uttaranchal University in the year 2019 with a gold medal. I am a national debater as well as a public speaker. Here at LawSeco, I'm working as the current affairs expert and manager for free content and outreach. If you wish to connect with me, you can always join me at my Twitter as well as LinkedIn handles, the link to which are available in the description box. Let's see what is the multiple choice question from yesterday's discussion. Which of the following cases is also known as the Mandal case? Your options are Keshavanand Bharati case, Golaknath case, Vishakha case, or Indra Sawhney case. If you know the answer, you can put it down in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. Which intellectual property rights are attached with the manufacture of the vaccines like the COVID vaccines? Do you think that their waiver can make a difference in their amount and area of production? Critically discuss. Please keep in mind, as already mentioned several times before as well, whenever the term critically is mentioned in the question, we need to analyze both the pros as well as the cons of the given statement, which means the merits as well as the demerits. Let's discuss about an article for the first one, which is basically the only article for the day that talks about the intellectual property waiver for COVID vaccines. So the United States recently announced its support for waiving IP protections for COVID-19 vaccines. It will pursue text-based negotiations on the waiver at the World Trade Organization. For understanding this particular article, the most important thing that we need to acknowledge and understand is as to what do we mean by the term waiver. So simply speaking and generally speaking, the term waiver means to give up a particular right. And in this case, here we are talking about waiving or giving up the intellectual property rights which are attached with the manufacturing of the COVID vaccines. So recently, the United States has also announced that it is in favor for waiving, that is, giving up these intellectual property protections for the COVID-19 vaccines. And the only thing that it will pursue, that means the only thing that it will entitle itself would be the text-based negotiations on the waiver at the World Trade Organization. And also, India and South Africa made a similar proposal earlier. With this, let's understand that what do we actually mean by the text-based negotiations at the WTO. So it involves the negotiators exchanging texts with each other with preferred wording, then finding a consensus. And basically, this says that here they come together and they discuss with each other in forms of text. So like, for example, if India, South Africa and US are agreeing upon having text-based negotiations, so their negotiations on the intellectual property will be completely based on the text, the content basically that they all exchange with each other. And when they exchange these texts with each other, they then finally try to come on a consensus and to have a consensus and a common understanding on any particular issue. So the negotiations will be in a mix of virtual and in personal meetings, which is a fairly long drawn affair. Now, as we know, keeping in mind the situation of COVID-19, the negotiations are not really feasible to be held in person, but still there is a chance in the coming future that attempts would be made to bring in these negotiations as a mix of both the virtual meetings as well as the meetings which are one-on-one, that is person to person. But this actually tries to, also tell us, and also we should analyze as to what are the implications of the waiver, as in what would be the benefit or what would be the harm of having this particular waiver in the COVID-19 vaccine intellectual property rights. So the large-scale production of vaccines by middle-income countries with emergency use authorizations may start. So currently it has been noticed that the most production in the current situation is concentrated in the high income countries, in be it in terms of capacity and also in the purchasing power. Now, whenever at the global level we try to analyze the power, or basically we try to understand that what is the concentration of the power of any particular nation, then we consider it in terms of capacity or in terms of the purchasing power as to the particular currency of that money is able to purchase what amount of thing or what value of any particular thing at the global level. So currently what has been noticed that the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing has been concentrated in some or the other way only in the high income countries. For example, let's say the United Kingdom, USA, Russia, India. So all of these countries are definitely now. USA is this world superpower, and even other than that, the other countries like India and Russia are also considered to be very, very fast-growing economies and also one of the strongest economies of the world. And in such a situation, it has also been noticed that the middle-income countries they are not really able to scale up the production of vaccines within their domestic area or within their domestic territories, and that is why it is believed that once the negotiations are done by via the means of text, and also these huge countries or these high income countries like US, India, and though South Africa also, but it's a good competitor in this case, if they waive the intellectual property rights related to the COVID-19 vaccine, then there is a chance that vaccine production may start significantly in the middle income countries as well. But we need to understand that there are also some obstacles, or what we call as the deterrents for the waiver in their way. So basically, it says that eliminating the intellectual property protections would undermine the global response to the pandemic, including ongoing efforts to tackle new variants. Like the Pfizer and AstraZeneca have written the joint letter to Joe Biden. So these two candidates, now as we know that AstraZeneca, which belongs to UK, and also Pfizer, we have these two vaccine candidates. So they have written a joint letter to Joe Biden, who is currently the president of the United States, that if at all you do not give any kind of intellectual property rights to the vaccine, so what can the bad impact of this can be that it would disincentivize the people, the laboratories, the scientists, all the stakeholders who are working in this direction to work and get such vaccine or more effective vaccines that can tackle the new variants of the pandemic or the new variants of the COVID-19. And that is why this elimination of intellectual property rights cannot really guarantee any kind of growth or scaling up of the vaccine manufacturing in the middle income countries, and says that eliminating the protections would not automatically increase the production, as many countries wherein we're looking forward that they would have increased and scaled up production of the vaccines do not even have the basic capacity, the basic infrastructure to speedily produce the vaccine. So just merely if we think that by just waiving the intellectual property rights or the IP rights or the such rights at the global level for these vaccines, and just by doing this one single step, a miracle would happen and these countries would start manufacturing the vaccines on their own. So this is something which we can call a far-fetched dream, because many of these countries lack even the basic infrastructure. Now, these could be the manpower, these could be the research skills, these could be the laboratories or the manufacturing units, industries, etc., or maybe even the means of transportation which are required, or means of even storing these vaccines at a proper position, or even administering these vaccines to the people at large. So due to the lack of these logistics and infrastructure also, these are also the major hindrances that these countries are not able to produce vaccines at a good level. So if we talk about the production of vaccines in the developing countries, so many countries have expressed their willingness to produce, have allowed assessment of quality. And that is why many developing countries, like if we take example for India also, India has always, since the very beginning, has been very much willing to produce its own vaccine. And as we know that Covaxin itself is an indigenously developed vaccine. So from the time period of 1972 to 2005, India has adopted the process patenting rather than product patenting and has built a huge generic industry. Now here there are two things which we have to consider, the two kinds of patenting. One is when we patent the process of something manufactured, and the other is when we patent the manufactured final good. And it says that till the time period of 2005 till 1972, back then, India has been largely focusing upon patenting the process of manufacturing rather than the complete final good or product of manufacturing, and thus India has been able to build a huge generic industry in this regard. With this, let's see that what do we have for news in flash today. Ajit Singh passes away. So due to COVID-19 and complications at the age of 82. So Ajit Singh basically was he was a chair, he was a chief of Rashtriya Lok Dal. So he was an alumni of IIT Kharagpur and and the Illinois Institute of Technology. Was a seven-time member of Parliament, became a Rajya Sabha member in 1986, and a union minister in the government of VP Singh, PV Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and also Manmohan Singh. His father was a former Prime Minister, Chaudhry Charan Singh. So we are done for the day. We hope it was a good and informative session for you all. If you like this session, do give it a thumbs up. And thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho. Please subscribe to our channels for such more updates to come.